While you're being seated, look at the person next to you and tell them how good they look today. I know all of our college kids like that. That opened up a door for somebody. You're sitting next to that person, you like haven't talked to her yet, but now you got to, and the first thing you said to her was how good she looked. You just say thank you. You're welcome, no problem. I got you, man. I'm trying to set some people up in here today. Did you guys notice the change just then when we all started going after it? You know what I'm saying? Did you notice the shift in the room? I want to encourage some of you, man. You grew up, and you know what that expectancy is. You're not afraid to lift your hands and to go for it. Don't wait for me to jump up here and tell you to do that. Dude, this is a church where you get to come and be free, and you get to come and be yourself, and you get to come and run after God as fast as you want to. And no one's going to tell you to slow down. So I encourage you, man. Don't wait for someone to tell you to pick it up before you do. Let's come in here, and I would love if we came in here. I don't know if anyone else would love this, but I'd love if we come in here one Sunday and I had a message prepared and I just couldn't even preach it because we were just so going after God, so hungry, so expectant to just worship just lasted the whole time. And that it was so good at 9 a.m. that it never even stopped. And soon to be 11 a.m. just kind of came in. It just kept going, and maybe we're here till 3 p.m. I'm sure our worship team would love that. I would love that, though. If we could just be that hungry. So thank you guys for pressing in and I appreciate it. And in case you are a first-time guest or maybe you're watching online with us for the first time, if you don't know who I am, my name's Alex Gallion. I'm the lead pastor here at Overflow. I lead here alongside my wonderful, amazing wife, and alongside a giant team of people who make everything that you see happening happen. And if you're not on that team, I encourage you, be a part of it. Get on that giant team. We have a saying here. It goes like this. We say, our team and our church is never where we want it to be. It's not full yet because you're not on it. So if you're not on that team, if you're not on that group of people who's serving involved here, do that. Before I say anything today, I want to take a moment and first of all, say happy birthday to my little brother, Ethan. He's a freshman at Bethel this year. Yesterday was his birthday. Ethan, raise your hand real quick. He's way back there in the back, like last row. Ethan, I love you. Happy birthday. He was my first sibling, so I never forget any of them, but his obviously was the first birth that I ever got to be a part of, and it was great. And then I also want to take just a moment and say happy anniversary to my wife. Tomorrow is our 2-year anniversary. We've been together for 4, we've been married for 2. It's been the best 4 years of my life. I love you. If I lost everything and I still had you, it would be enough. So, I love you so much. Everybody just say, "Aw, goals." That's right. Hashtag, it's who we are. Look, I haven't preached for 4 weeks, and I'm ready to preach. Are you guys ready for the Word of God? All right, man, we're going to jump into this thing. If you're ready, just say, "I'm ready." That's good. Keep talking to me like that, okay? This is going to make me do better. We're going to have more fun. I'm going to be more anointed. I don't even know how that works. But when you guys talk back to me, it's more powerful. So just keep doing that. We're going to be in Exodus 14 today. I'll give you a moment to turn there if in case we have a Bible on the front row, not to call you out, but we have an actual Bible on the front row. This is amazing. So yes, look at that. So if you have one of those and you want to turn there, I'll give you just a second. Exodus 14, we're going to be at verse number 10. But I want to give you a little bit of backstory for what it is that we're about to read. So at this point in history, Israel has been in slavery to Egypt and to Pharaoh for about 400 years. And one day, God decides to reveal himself to this dude named Moses. And then he asks Moses, and he gives him the responsibility to be the person to lead Israel out of captivity and into the promised land. And eventually Moses, he says, "Sure, I'll do it." And soon after that, a series of crazy events of epic proportion begin happening all over Egypt. We see crazy signs and wonders and miracles, and Egyptians are dying left and right. And eventually, Pharaoh, after a couple of refusals, out of fear for losing his free labor, and after putting his family through so much pain and his country through so much harm, finally he says, "Fine, you guys go do your thing, go worship God." He lets them go. And right when he lets them go, Israel, they don't waste any time. They pack their bags, they get out of Dodge as soon as they could. And right when they think things are going great, the Bible says they look up And they notice that Pharaoh's army is approaching them to come and get them back. They realize that Pharaoh's changed his mind. So that's where we're going to pick up at today. Exodus 14, verse number 10. I read out of the New Living Translation in case anyone's wondering. It'll be up here on the screen. This is what it says. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and they panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord and they said to Moses, "Why'd you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why'd you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We told you, leave us alone. You said, let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness." Whatever that means. Nice proverb there. But Moses told the people, you got to love Moses here. He does his duty as a leader. He says, no, don't be afraid. Stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today, he's like, oh man, who's that English leader? I forget it. Winston Churchill. He's Winston Churchill right now. The Egyptians you see today, you'll never see him again. I mean, he's being motivational right now. He said, the Lord himself will do the fighting for you. You guys just be calm. And then the Lord says to Moses, hold up. Why are y'all crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. He kind of contradicts a little bit there. Moses, he said, stand still. God's like, no, don't stand still. Tell the people to get moving. He says, pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. You divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will come behind you and I'll harden the hearts of the Egyptians and they'll charge in after the Israelites. My great glory will be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops and his chariots and his charioteers. And when my glory is displayed through them, all of Egypt will see my glory and they'll know that I am the Lord. Real quick, I want you to shout the title of our message today. Shout this with me, say, pick up the pace. Now sometimes, if I'm being honest, even as kind of a nerd as it pertains to the Bible and the scriptures, I really like it. I've actually always enjoyed it. And even as a pastor, sometimes when I read the Bible, I have a problem relating to the Bible. Sometimes I read stories and I'm like, I don't know what this means. Anybody ever been there? You raise your hand? Yep. So those are all the people that read the Bible. Because if you've ever read the Bible, you've read something and been like, I don't get it. You start reading about circumcision and you're like, what does this have to do with me? And if you think about it, it makes sense, okay? Because when you read the scriptures, you're dealing with a bunch of people that come from a culture where their biggest problems and their biggest concerns lie within sacrificing live animals to the same God that we serve. You know, like real animals, cutting them apart and breaking their necks. And we don't deal with that. That is unrelatable to us completely. We don't do that kind of stuff, right? Their biggest concerns are like debating whether or not they can eat meat. That's not a problem. We live in the South. Not only do we eat like the normal kinds of meat, we have wild game suppers where we eat meat that nobody else in the whole world eats, all right? We don't have a problem eating meat. These same people, they're the ones who, this kind of in casual conversation is like, well, I wonder who we may or may not be stoning to death later this afternoon. These are not conversations that we have. Therefore, it's understandable when sometimes these people seem like on the surface, it can feel like it's a little bit hard to relate to them. But this story, when I read it, I can relate to this story really well. I want us to read verse 10 one more time. It says, as Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up. Say looked up. And they panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. See, I know this story all too well because this is the story of when God gives you that dream for your life and when God gives you that word and God gives you that vision for your life or your family or your career, and then one day you look up and your reality is telling you that that dream is impossible. That's never going to happen. That's exactly where the Israelites are right now. They have been given the dream. They are being told to look forward to freedom, and yet all they can see is the Egyptians coming to capture them again. It's the moment when you know that you know that you know that God is the one that put that dream in your heart, and then you look up and that dream is far from coming to pass. See, it's the moment when I know that I know that I know that God has all the finances necessary to get us into that Highland campus. And then I look up, and we are crammed in here, shoulder to shoulder. We still have no lobby, no check-in center, and pardon the pun, we're still dealing with crappy bathrooms. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know that was a courtesy laugh. Thank you for the courtesy laugh. If Josh had said that, you guys wouldn't have laughed. You never do. You never give him like that nice courtesy laugh. But because I guess I have the title of pastor, you guys do that for me. So thank you so much. I appreciate that courtesy laugh. See, this is the moment when you've been praying and you've gone to counseling and you're even on medication, but then you look up and you're still dealing with depression and you're still dealing with that anxiety. This is the moment where you've been trying as hard as you can to live for God and to grow in your walk with God. But then you look up and all you see is yourself making that same stupid mistake that you swore you'd never make again. It's that moment. And this is where the Israelites are right now in the story. And I want us to look real quickly at verse number 11. It says this. They're at that moment. It says, they said to Moses, why'd you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why'd you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you that this was going to happen while we were still in Egypt? We told you. Leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness. And these people, they are tired. They are mad. They're saying things they don't even mean. I've been there. It's called marriage. You get mad and you say things you don't mean. You're just hungry and you're tired. You've been up, for 20 hours for whatever reason. You're riding a plane and all of a sudden, sweet Alex is turning into monster Alex. He's saying things he doesn't mean, he would never say. That's what these people are. They're confused. They're irritated with their current situation. They're upset. And frankly, they don't really have a whole lot of hope. Like I said, I've been there. I would bet most of us in this room, we've all been there a time or two in some situation. And my best guess says that this morning, there are people out there that are in that spot right now. And today, I came to let you know, if nothing else, that is, if you would be willing to see it, there is hope. The solutions to some, maybe not all, but definitely some of your problems aren't as far out of your reach as you might think they are. Many of these dreams and promises that have seemed so far from your reality, they may actually require nothing more from you than a simple change of pace. Say this with me real quick. Say, it's time to pick up the pace. About a month ago, Sam and I started utilizing some of our vacation time. It was much needed, much enjoyed. We spent a little bit of time in Ocean Springs, Mississippi with her family, came back for a few days, and we flew to St. Pete Beach in Tampa. We hung out there. Now, we love vacations because we vacation hard, okay? We don't spend a lot of time on vacation, so when we are on vacation, we make the most of it. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but West Tennessee doesn't have much to offer. So when you travel outside of West Tennessee, you take full advantage of the fact that you're not in West Tennessee anymore. And that's exactly what we did. We ate all the food that we wanted to eat that we wouldn't normally get to eat. We went shopping at all the places that we don't normally get to go shopping at. We slept in every single day. Her parents, if they're watching right now, they said amen because they know. We slept in every day. And when we're on vacation, you want to know what our number one priority is? Do nothing. We don't want to do anything. We want to go to the beach, and we want to tan. And that's about it. We vacation hard, all right? And as fun as that was, on our way home, separately we came to this conclusion, and then we talked about it. Neither one of us want a vacation for nearly 2 weeks in a row ever again, all right? Because as nice as it was to get that R&R, it also threw us off our rhythm like crazy. It's really tough to get back into that rhythm. For the most part, me and her were both pretty self-motivated, self-driven. We have a schedule, and we got plans made, and we got a routine. And all I got to say is you vacation and do nothing for 2 weeks and tell me if you come home and you want to go back to work. You're not going to want to. These college students, they know exactly what I'm saying. Teachers know exactly what I'm talking about. You spend 3 months out of school, 2 months out of school, whatever. You don't want to go back and do homework and do tests and have to study. No, that's not where you're at. You want to do nothing. You want to go, make money, spend time on the beach, whatever it is that you're doing. But you don't want to do your responsibilities because you've been vacationing. You've been able to do whatever it is that you want to do, and that's exactly where we were. We were struggling to kind of pick the speed back up and to get in the regular flow of life. And I know this may come as a shock to many of you, but I found myself noticing that all of a sudden I didn't want to read my Bible as much as I wanted to before. And I didn't want to pray as much as maybe I wanted to before. And I didn't want to work on sermons. And I didn't want to pick up the clothes. And I didn't want to put those clothes away. And I didn't want to wash the dishes. And I didn't want to work out. And I didn't want to go shopping. Turns out I didn't want to do anything, right? Because I'd been on vacation for 2 weeks. And so then I had the audacity to wonder why it was that I was noticing that things weren't happening in my life that I wished had been happening. I had the audacity to wonder what this mysterious cause behind things not moving as quickly in my life as they're used to moving. What's happening? What's going on? And see, I wasn't the only one who noticed that. I feel like the Lord noticed that things weren't really happening for me at that moment as well, because about 2 weeks ago, I was up here at the office. It had hit that 2 p.m. time during the day where nobody wants to do anything, and so you got to go have your late afternoon coffee or maybe early afternoon coffee. I don't know what that's called. But I came down from the office, and I jetted over there to go to Cooper's Cafe to go grab some coffee. And on my way over there, I felt this gentle challenge from the Lord, and I heard him say it, and it was almost like he had the same voice as my mom had when she would tell me to go clean my room. He's loving, I love you, but it's time for you to do this thing, all right? Like, we're not playing around anymore. And this is what he said to me. He said, Alex, I need you to pick up your pace. Pick up the pace. And when I heard it, it hit me, and I knew what he was saying, but I also knew what he wasn't saying. And this is what he wasn't saying. He wasn't saying, Alex, I need you to strive and do more and be better and produce and work yourself to the bone. That's not what he was saying. What he was saying was, Alex, I need you to do your part. I need you to take care of your responsibilities. I need you to pick up your pace a little bit. He wasn't asking me to do anything that was beyond my ability. He was asking me to do the things that I should have already been doing. He was asking me to do things that I was already capable of doing, just to pick up the speed, to get moving, and to pick up my pace. And for some of you, you're in the same boat right now in some area of your life that I found myself in, wondering why things aren't moving like I thought they would be, wondering why things aren't going for you like they were 2 years ago, or a year ago, or even this past summer after you got home from camp, or after you got home from that mission trip. You know, life, it doesn't look quite like you thought it would look. And you're making decisions that you never thought you would be making, and you're dealing with stuff now that you would have never imagined yourself dealing with then. And I find in my own life, the first thought that always happens in that moment is this: God, why are you doing this to me? We just blame God. God, why are you putting all this on me, God? What's happening right now? Where are you? We look up at God and we ask him why all of this stuff is happening to us. And I just want to know, what if I told you that it might not be God who's holding you back from all that you want to become? What if potentially the only thing standing in between you and your destiny was just simply your pace and your decision making? Because see, I believe that's exactly what God's communicating through this passage of Scripture to us. And see, I truly believe that if you want to get to wherever it is that you want to go, many times the only requirement is just simply a change of pace. And I'm going to show you that. But first, I want us to read verses 13 and 14 because I want to show us a dangerous mindset, a mindset that will do all that it can to hold you back from becoming whoever it is and doing whatever it is that God has put on your life. Read these verses with me. It's 13 and 14. The people have freaked out. They're questioning Moses. It says, Moses told the people, don't be afraid, just stand still. Watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today, you'll never see them again. The Lord himself, he'll fight for you. Just stay calm. So you got to appreciate Moses' effort here, trying to be a good leader as people are freaking out. The Egyptians are closing in. And so out of nowhere, timid old Moses, who the Bible says was normally really afraid of public speaking, he decides to take matters into his own hands, and he sort of speaks out of line, and he says, stop. Don't move. Don't do anything. Just let the Lord do it for you. He's going to do it. Don't worry about it. He said, let go and let God. And as nice as that is, the problem is that many times that doesn't actually work. Many times that's not actually the case. See, often I hear really well-meaning people, and I've said this before, not just calling other people. I hear really well-meaning people say really well-meaning things like this. Well, and you got to close your eyes because you got to get all lofty and, like powerful when you say it. If God wants it to happen, it'll happen. You've heard it. I know you have. If he doesn't want it to happen, it won't. You just got to let God do his thing. Now, while on a very rare, limited, specific occasion, I can roll with that. For the majority of the moments that happen in our life, nah, I can't roll with that at all. See, because we as people, we have a real nasty habit of holding God accountable for the very things that he's already made us responsible for. Things happen in our life that God's put in our hands that are our responsibility, and instead of taking responsibility, we choose the cop-out plea and we make God accountable for it. We blame God for those things that are or aren't happening. But here's the truth, okay? Not everything that God has in store for you is automatic. Your decisions will determine your destination. I'm going to say that one more time in case you didn't catch it. Not everything that God has in store for your life will happen automatically. Your decisions will determine wherever it is that you check. Hey, we're back online, people. Shout out to our online audience watching this. You guys got the same exact experience as 9 a.m. You didn't miss anything, so great. Not everything God has in store for your life is automatic. Your decisions determine your destination. This is why God interrupts Moses in his speech. Moses, he pipes up and he's like, no, stop doing what you're doing. Don't move at all. Stop. And God's like, ho, ho, ho. Verse 15, he says, why are y'all crying out to me? He said, why don't y'all get to moving? He said, Moses, hello? You got some responsibility in this thing too, my man. He said, I'm not going to force the people to move their feet. I'm not going to come down there and possess their feet and cause them to walk across the sea. That's not how it works, okay? There are a lot of things in our lives that God does for us and that only God can do for us, okay? Jesus, he came and he died for us. And he was born of a virgin for us, and he lived a sinless life for us, and he was resurrected from the grave for us, and he took care of all of that for us. There was nothing we could do to help him in that. But there are a lot of other things in your life that God isn't going to do for you because he's already empowered you to do them. That's why the Bible says that you only sow what you reap. And the truth is that your feet only go where you move them to. See, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this phrase. Everything happens for a reason. We say it, we throw it around, it's so lofty. And here's the thing. I think it's true. Everything does happen for a reason because it's called cause and effect. There is an effect and a cause for everything that happens. But here's the problem with that statement. When we use it, most of the time what we're implying is everything that happens because God makes it happen. And that ain't true. And I know for some of you, I'm kicking against some theology right now. And that's okay. I'm going to keep kicking, okay? Because all you got to do is refer back to the story of Adam and Eve. God, he wanted a really great life for them. He had all these great things in store. Wanted them to hang out with the animals, Timon and Pumbaa, out in the jungle, walk around with them. Yeah, he's singing up here. Yeah, he wanted them to sing with Timon and Pumbaa. He wanted them to enjoy all kinds of good food, have perfectly shaped bodies, never get sick, make babies all the time. The married people said amen to that. Like, what a life. That's what I'm talking about, right? And there's not even birth pains. Just get to make as many babies as they want and never experience any pain ever. Never get sick. Man, what a life. And to top it all off, they get to maintain a year-long tan because they're naked all the time. Talk about a sweet gig, dude. God had them set up for success. He was going to provide everything they needed. Nothing bad was ever going to happen. No one was ever going to die. But see, here's the thing. God loves us so much that he never forces us to choose his route. He always gives us the choice. He lets us make these things called decisions. Say decisions. And see, when Adam and Eve, when it came time for them to make their decision, they chose wrong. They could have chosen God's plan for their life. They could have gone with that. They could have obeyed God, but they didn't. Instead of choosing to follow God, they chose. They made the decision to instead follow sin and inherit death for them and all of humanity. Thank you, Adam and Eve. Now, some of you are like, where are you going with this? What do you mean? This is what I'm saying. Very rarely is God the one keeping you from your promised land. Very rarely is it on him. Your decisions determine your destination. The only person that is powerful enough to stall God's movement in your life is you. Say this with me. Say, it's on me. It's on me. Now I need you to say it like you believe it. Say, it's on me. It's on me. You guys ready to get in that new campus? No, it's on you. You got to pick up your pace. We got to give like we were given a couple months ago, right after the tithing and the giving series when it was fresh and new and everyone was ready to do it. We got to get back into that. We got to keep doing that. We got to pick up our pace. We got to build up our teams like they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Man, because if we get over there and we ain't got enough people serving, how are we even going to do this thing? You know what I'm saying? We got to pick up the pace. We got to do whatever it is that only we can do. You guys want your marriages to be saved? Then it's time to pick up the pace and quit trying to change your spouse and let God begin to change you. You want to be set free from pornography or depression or anxiety? Then it's time to pick up the pace and quit complaining about it and do something about it, man. Quit posting on social media about it and you take matters into your hand. You do whatever it is that you can do. You ditch those friends that you don't need to be around. You quit surrounding yourself with the media that keeps bringing you down. You open up to somebody. Do what it takes. Seek God, man, until he sets you free. You guys want to grow in your walk with God? Then you got to pick up your pace. And you got to read your Bible. And you got to have this thing called a prayer time that you actually do. You got to pick up the pace. I know that you're believing and you're relying on God to come through for you. But here, what is it that God is asking you to do in the meantime while you're waiting on him to come through for you? What is the responsibility that he's placed in your hand? See, here's the thing with the kingdom. Where you stop is where you stop. Other people can keep going, but where you stop is where you stop. If the Israelites didn't have to keep going and cross the sea. They could have stayed right where they were, and they could have been captured by the Egyptians, and they could have been slaves in Egypt and completely missed out on all the promises that God had for them. God isn't in the business of forcing you or anybody else to do what he wants you to do, to say yes to his will. to do his job. He's not in the business of doing that. And the same goes for us, okay? You can choose today to not pick up the pace in your life. And you can keep dealing with the same cycles and keep making the same mistakes, and then you can keep getting the same results. In fact, you can treat this message the same way you've probably treated a lot of other messages in the past. You can sit here and you can take notes and you can clap when everybody else claps, and you can say amen when someone else says amen, and you can repeat with me when I say repeat, and then when it's time to stand up and sing, you can stand up and sing. And you can let everything come in and leave completely unaffected. You can refuse to respond to this message, refuse to do anything with it when the moment you step out of these doors, or you could choose today to do something different. You could choose to lean in to what it is that God's asking from you. You could choose to answer the call to pick up the pace. You could choose to allow this message to begin to permeate every decision of your life. And if you do, then I promise you, you can also sit back and watch as God begins to produce miracles in and through your life that you never thought would be possible. See, it's a trend throughout all of Scriptures. As man moves and as man does his part, even if it's a small part, God always comes alongside and he moves as well, because miracles follow movement. Say that with me. Miracles follow movement. One more time. Here we go. Miracles follow movement. One more time. Miracles follow movement. If you want God to do what only he can, then you better start by doing everything that you can. It's like the woman with the issue of blood. Before she ever got her healing, she had to reach out and grab the hem of Jesus' garment. It's like the man with the withered hand. Before his hand was ever healed, Jesus told him to go ahead and try stretching it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like the crippled guy that was seated at the gate. Before he was ever able to walk, Peter asked him to go ahead and try standing up now. See, that's the gospel. When you ask, then you receive. When you seek, then you find. When you knock, then the doors open. And when you draw near to God, then God draws near to you. The prerequisite to God moving in your life is your action. God waited for Israel to move before he ever parted the waters. He waited for them to do their part and for them to move in the way that he was asking them to move and for them to take on their responsibility. And then, and only then, did God come along and do his part, because miracles follow movement. Are you ready for a move of God in your life and in your city and in your family? Then for you, your first step is you got to start moving. You got to start doing whatever it is that only you can do. You got to start obeying God. And let me tell you, you're going to have to keep doing it, even if you don't see the breakthrough right away. Because this is why I'm so impressed with the Israelites. It's because God had them move before they ever saw their breakthrough. God had them trust him before they ever saw the promise. They had to answer the call to pick up the pace before they were ever walking in that dream that he had for them. See, sometimes you're going to have to pick up your pace in faith. Some of you singles in here, you need to start saving for that wedding as if that person's already in your life. And then see if God doesn't make it happen. You're believing to get married. We'll start doing something now for it. For some of you, you need to start tithing like you already got that job that you're believing God for. Some of you, you need to start tithing the paycheck that you want. I know you're tithing 10%, but what if you started tithing 10% of the paycheck that you wanted to have? See if God doesn't come through for you, man. For all of us in here, we got to get to the spot where we're learning how to pray and how to worship and sing and clap and raise our hands, as if that prayer that we've been praying for is already answered, man. And I promise you, as you begin to regularly walk in faith like that, God will regularly begin to blow your mind. Because as you consistently do what it is that only you can do, God will consistently do the things that only He can do. Because miracles follow movement. If you believe it, just say, I believe it. For a few of you in here, all I came to tell you today was to keep going. Man, you've been moving. You've been obeying. You've been saying yes. You've been pursuing God. Keep chasing after the dream that He put in your heart. Keep praying for that person. Keep giving everything into that business that He put on your heart to begin with. Keep fighting for your marriage. Because see, if you keep reading, and this is a part that we always tend to skim over in this story, because we all watch The Prince of Egypt, and we know in The Prince of Egypt, Moses takes his staff and he puts it in the water, and then the water is just, they just part in like 10 seconds. That's not even how it happened. If you keep reading the story, Moses had to stand with his hand out over the water the entire night before those waters ever parted. And I feel like for some of you in here, maybe you feel like Moses, you feel like maybe God's left you in the dark. You had to stand at nighttime. And if you feel that way, I want to encourage you, very similarly as Moses did, you got to keep standing. You got to keep believing. You got to keep moving. You got to keep going. You got to keep picking up your pace, because here's the thing. Morning usually comes way quicker than we ever saw it coming. And even through the darkest moments, when we wake up in the morning and we see that those waves that have been keeping us, whatever that is, keeping you from that promise, keeping you from that destiny, have been parted. And now that promise that seemed like such a distant reality is now your current reality. You're gonna be able to look back and remember that this happened because God's miracles followed my movement. Overflow, I encourage you today, man. This ain't just a word from me. This isn't just a word from Moses and Israel. This is for all of us. It's time that we pick up our pace. Do you remember the time in your life where you used to be so passionate about church, about God, about serving, about giving whatever it is that you could give, about helping out, about bringing people to church? It's time to pick it up. You remember when you prayed for that job that you complain about now? It's time to pick it up. Remember when you used to be really intentional about spending time with your family? Yeah, it's time to pick it up again. This isn't just a call about church stuff. This is a call about every area in our lives. And I don't know about you guys, but if I'm just being honest, dude, I'm just ready for more. Man, I'm ready for this church to go to the next level. I feel like the only thing that's holding us back from becoming whatever kind of church it is that God has for us is our pace. And I'm ready to get there. And I'm ready to personally have more passion. And I'm ready to experience a fresh fire. And I'm ready to walk in a fresh freedom. And I'm telling you, if nobody in here comes along with me, I'm going there. Because I'm excited, I'm ready, I believe, I'm ready to pick up my pace. And I want to encourage you guys, why don't you stand up on your feet with me right now? If you are in here and you're ready to go to the next level, and you're ready to just experience more of God with me, I just want you to say I'm with you. One more time, like you, say I'm with you. If you're in here today, I want to see you ready to respond to this call. If you're in here this morning and you're ready to answer the call to pick up the pace, before you need to talk to someone or implement some strategy, you need to meet the God that gave you that future. And you need to meet the God that gave you that calling. Before you ever get to step into the promised land, you have to have an experience with the presence of God at the burning bush. And that's the opportunity that I'm offering to all of us today, to not only seek God, but to find God and to hear God and to feel God and to have an experience with God and to allow God to begin to come and give us a fresh fire and to surrender everything afresh for God. And if you're in here and you're with me because I'm going there, then on the count of 3, I'm gonna open up this room as an altar. Maybe you come down front, maybe you push out to the aisle.